channel. Before we get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And turn on your post notifications so you get a notification every time I post a video. For today's video, I'm going to be doing 10 Netflix recommendations. This is something that's like a really big trend on YouTube or something. I don't know, but we're just going to get into the video. So, yeah. So, for the video, I'm going to like rate the show and then give an explanation, if that makes sense. So, yeah. So, the first show I have is The Flash. And this is my favorite show. And I rate this show probably like a 9.5 out of 10. And pretty much the plot line is just like kind of a guy who his mom was like killed when he was like 10 years old. And so he's been searching his whole life to find his mom's killer. And he became the impossible and became the Flash. And it's kind of like his life trying to find his mom killer. Well, in the first season, I guess. And pretty much, it's just a really good show. I don't want to give too much away. But it's a really good show. And if you like kind of like sci-fi comedy, this would be a good show for you. And yeah, there's like 6 seasons. And so it's definitely a binge-worthy show. So yeah. The next show is Greenhouse Academy, and this is a show, I rate this probably a 7.5 out of 10, because after like a few seasons it kind of gets kind of dry, but it depends on the person who's watching it, I guess. And in this show, pretty much what happens is there's this girl and her mom, there's this girl and her brother, and their mom works for like this, works for NASA, and she goes on a spaceship like lunch, but then she dies, and it's kind of like why she dies and the things she was hiding from her family and stuff like that. And there's only like I think 4 seasons, and I didn't even bother to watch the 4th one. But overall, it's an okay show. I mean, I definitely would recommend it for like teens, because I don't know if like little kids would want to watch that, but definitely a good show. The next show I recommend is Stranger Things, and this takes place in Hawkins, Indiana, but it's like in the 1980s. So a lot of the show, it just takes place in that time, but it was made this time frame. And I would rate this show an 8 out of 10. And this show is kind of about a lab that was experimenting on stuff that they really just didn't have any business. And so they opened up like a whole different, I guess, universe of stuff to this small, like, quiet town, and made this town very interesting. And it's definitely a good show to watch if you are a sci-fi fan, again, like The Flash or whatever. So yeah. The next show I recommend is Raising Dion, and I would rate this show an 8 out of 10. And the plot of the show is pretty much, there's this kid and he was born with powers, but he didn't realize it until he was much older. And he got it from his dad because his dad went to this event in like Antarctica or something, and he got powers off of this like event that happened there because he works for this lab who tests the unnormal stuff that happens, but secretly. And so after his dad died by saving a friend or whatever, he discovers these new powers that he has, but he has to keep it a secret from the lab because the lab is kind of, I guess, the dangerous person who wants to take him away in this case. So overall, this is a really good show, but I feel like this show is definitely one of the more shows where it's kind of surprising in like almost every episode, like something new happens. And I definitely recommend this show to any of the other sci-fi lovers again. And yeah. The next show I recommend is Sam and Cat, and this is just kind of like more of a like comedy show in like a teeny show. It's just more chill, I guess I would say, and it's something if you really want to have like a good laugh. It's a Nickelodeon show, so you know how those shows kind of go, and I would probably rate this like a 6 out of 10. You know, it's not that it's not interesting, it's just more like chill, so it's definitely a good show. But if you're really not into like more kid shows, then you're probably not going to want to watch it, but overall I would recommend it. The next show I recommend is Victorious, and this show is a lot like Sam and Cat 2. It's a Nickelodeon show, and it's more of a comedy, and it's a Nickelodeon show, so again, you know how those shows go. I would rate it probably the same as Sam and Cat, like a 6 out of 10. It's just a show where if you want to have a good laugh or you're just kind of bored and you want something to watch, you would watch it. Both of those shows have like 2 or 3 seasons, so it's not that much to watch, but it's definitely a show I would recommend. The next show I recommend is Alexa and Katie, and this show is about a girl who gets cancer, and she kind of is battling cancer on top of being in high school, and so it's kind of just hard for her, and her best friend is right alongside with her, you know, just helping her and supporting her. But the whole show isn't on cancer, but it is pretty much surfaced around cancer and the awareness of it. There's 4 seasons, so I would say it's probably a binge-worthy show, but it's not a really long show, and they ended it on season 4. I would rate this show with 8 out of 10, and overall I think this is a really good show and I really recommend it. The next show I recommend is a series of unfortunate events, and this is based off of the movie and the books, if you guys have ever read or watched those. And it's about these kids who become orphans because their parents die in a terrible fire. But it's a show, and it's a lot more detailed than the movies were. And this show is definitely more of an interesting show, and it's more of like a mystery. So if you like shows where you're just going to be shocked and kind of like where it kind of doesn't make sense at the beginning or until you get to the end, then this is definitely a good show for you to watch. I would rate this show probably a 7.5 out of 10, and I definitely recommend it. The next show I recommend is All About the Washingtons, and this show has only 1 season, so it's really, really short, and they kind of ended it, but it's a really good show nonetheless. I would probably rate it like a 7.5 out of 10, and it's kind of about this rapper, and he's a real rapper who retired, and it's kind of like what his retirement is like while his kids are in school, and just how his life is after his career finished. And the last show I recommend is Sugar Rush. This is a show about food. It's a baking show, and if you're one of those people who really enjoy watching cooking shows or just hungry and want to look at cakes all day, this is definitely a good show to watch. It's really just nothing but like cooking, so I'm honestly gonna rate it like a 7.5 out of 10. I watch it all the time. It's such a good show, and I really recommend it. That is the end of the video today, guys. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and comment, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to turn on your post notifications so you get a notification every time I post a video. If you like this video, make sure you comment down below and ask me to do another video of Netflix recommendations. And I guess that's it for this video, so see you later. Bye.